Ko rahiri te tangata, ko motatau o ku maunga, ko kaiko te awa, ko motatau o ku marae, ko napohi te iwi, ko ngā te hene te hapu. E kine ngā te hene pukipuki rau, ko Mahonri Owen toku ingoa. Tēnei tō mihi ki a koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. In March of this year, I was given an assignment to go to a place in China called Shijiazhuang in the Hebei province. And the assignment was to lecture Chinese university students, material engineer students, in English, which was their second language. And I got there and I gave my pipiha just like I just did. And you should have seen their faces drop. They were like, is he speaking English? Because I don't think that's English. If it's English, then we're not doing the right thing. And I loved the experience. But I didn't realize till the end that I missed the most important thing that I could have taught them. And it was something that my grandmother taught me. And she didn't teach me the way I'll teach you, but this is the way my ancestors would teach it. And it's he aha te mea nui o te ao. I asked this Chinese group of engineers that question and I said, it means what is the most important thing in this world? And I opened it up to them. And the first one I asked, very clever girl. She said water. And I was like, oh, that's a true engineer right there. Okay, water. And I said, thumbs up, good job. And I kept going around the room. And the answers came back like I was expecting them to. And no matter where I've been in the world, whether it's been in Africa or China or here in New Zealand, the answer's always the same. And you might already know the answers yourself. It's he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. That means people. Okay. Some of the answers that came up were friends, family, people you see on the street. And it was that lesson from my grandmother that I'll never forget. And I wasn't going to share it, but I think it's appropriate that I met a lady in South Africa in a place called Forest Hill. It's what you would call a township in South Africa. And this lady was amazing. She was in a wheelchair and I lived there for this particular area for 6 months. And I met her every week. And there you've got these big, some of them high fences. You'd open it up, she felt like she had 20 dogs. Every time we'd walk in, you'd have like all these dogs just yapping at your feet. And you're like, man, you get up to her, she'd greet you with the biggest smile you've ever seen, ever. And she had been in a wheelchair for three years. And one week we sat down with her and she said, you know, this is how I found out, I've never been in a wheelchair my whole life. She said, I was doing well, I had a good job, I was supporting children, and I went to sleep one night, and the next morning, when I woke up, I couldn't move my legs. Right. Now that's a really hard thing to take in. And me sitting there in front of her, I thought, man, I want to help, but I got nothing, I can't. And it was really hard. But she was a strong, very strong woman, and she continued her life on as best as she could. The doctors couldn't tell her what's wrong, and to this day they still don't know. Oh, that was a big wake-up call for me. I got home from South Africa thinking, what can I do? What am I able to do to help people? And the opportunity came up. And it wasn't the way that I expected it, but it was in a very similar way. That's what we were saying. When people see the name of my research project, they think Luke Skywalker controlling a hand or Terminator, and they're like, oh, that's cool as. And that's what I thought at the beginning too. I was like, that is pretty cool. But then I started trying to do research in it, and it was really hard, like ridiculously hard. Because there's not a lot of time, I'll talk about the overarching research idea that we have with what I'm doing, and then a few of the ways that we've been able to control hands using brain signals. So each of us, we have a brain, a nervous system, and a limb that we're going to control. That's the human natural way. When you start putting engineering boxes around these things, our brain can be a control unit where all the signals can come from. We then have a communication pathway. And finally, we have a device or something that we want to control. Now, my research is specifically the hand. Now, I'm going to put some people on the spot here. And if it helps, hold up your hand and try count. But because I met Jan today, how many bones do you think are in our hand? Good job. You got a number you want to put to that? Or does anybody else know? Anybody give it a good crack? 20, that's really good. We'll keep 27. Okay, that was really good. That's probably the closest I've had so far. Anyone want to take a guess how many muscles? 30. You guys are onto it. It's 34. Half of them aren't even in your hand. Most of them are forearm. Okay, so that shouldn't really be a surprise. You squeeze your hand, your forearm gets tight. Wow. Okay. Now, if we start looking at tendons, ligaments, how many do you think of those there are? I'll just 127, okay? Or somewhere close to there. All right, that one's a bit harder to guess. Okay, so I took the project. Being a mechanical engineer, I thought I'll start at the hand because that should be easy for me to go and make this hand. But then I realized what we're working with, and it's ridiculous, and I failed heaps. Spectacular fails. I know like hundreds of ways not to make a hand, okay? And so we started, we 3D printed, we modeled because that's fun. I like doing it. And we started making hands. This one was my very first try. All right, and we started naming them because we thought we were cool, and that was Harper because I have a nephew who was missing a few fingers, and I thought I'll dedicate this one to him. So I'm never, ever going to give that one up. It's still in my drawer, but it's useless. Okay, you can't really do anything. This one's name is George, because we started running out of names. I can't remember why. George, Andrew, Dr. J, if you know the basketball player, like ridiculous size hands. That was like his actual hand size. All right, so this one, if you want to have a look, don't worry too much if they fall completely apart. I'm not that worried. Okay, so that is about my hand size, and you can see just by looking at the picture, it's massive. There's a few other hands. The one here, which I think is not up there, is named Ngātuki Matawhaurua. Okay, easy name, easy name. And the other one, he's adopted. Okay, we found him on the internet and printed him off and put him together. Okay, but we don't love him any less. Okay, he's still a good hand. But it's been an ongoing process, this designing of the hands, and I was getting carried away when the name of the research project was to control them with your brain. Okay. So there's 5 things that I'll try to go through. The top 3 are EEG based. For those who aren't familiar, little electrical signals coming from your brain. EMG, electrical signals coming off your muscles. And then the last one is a vision-based approach that we used. And a lot of these are interconnected. We can use them with each other and all those things. This first one I really didn't want to put in, but my supervisor said do it. It's completely not the right size, and I'm not sure what to do about that. We'll see if this might work better. All right, so this was the very first trial years ago of trying to control something with my brain. So what I have here is the NeuroSky Mindwave mobile headset. I'm going to put that on, connect it up, and what I have on screen on the laptop is a bunch of attention readings. As it connects, I'll start getting some attention readings, and that goes by how much attention I have, what my concentration level is at. As you'll notice, every time it goes above 70, the hand will close, and every time it goes below, the hand will open. And this is how I've been able to control this hand using brain signals. Okay, at the time I thought I was really successful. I was like, this is awesome. You know, give me a PhD. But it was completely useless because we couldn't control when the hand would open or close good enough. So you'd give somebody this, they would be holding their coffee, and then while they're walking somewhere, boom. Or they will want to drop their cup and they'll never let go. Okay? So it's cool. It's like a toy, really. And you know, we did what we could with it and moved on. The second, I should say, this one is EEG based. You would have noticed there was 2 electrodes on that headband that you had. Nice and easy to put on, but not very much information coming from it. And it was all based on how active your brain was or how inactive your brain was. The next one, we got more channels to the EEG headset that we had. There was 16, and we were able to do 4 different grasps with it in real time. This is the next step. It started learning using machine learning, a support vector machine, for those who might be interested. And again, give me the PhD. No, not yet, because it was still really not that useful. Okay, it was better, but not quite there. The next paper, or next project we did, was way out of my league because I partnered with Kedri, who are represented here tonight. And I guess what happened there is we introduced a neural network, which was an evolving spiking neural network with finite automata so that we could control a prosthesis that way. And we increased the amount of electrodes again to get more information. And that was more successful. And it felt like another small success. But at that point, I was getting pretty discouraged because when you're using these non-invasive EEG things, it's like you think, and then a couple seconds later, the hand will move. And all you really wanted to do was just move straight away. So depending, I didn't keep track of time, but I'll do it after, and I'll show you the video instead. I put these videos on just in case the live demonstration didn't work, because that's real common for me to happen. And we can do it after this if anyone's keen to have a go of making the hand work. Okay, but let's see if we can play them. Oh, sorry that they're so small and stuff. It must be like formatting or something. Okay, it's a lot more fun like playing with it yourself rather than the video. But that was the next one I did for fun. That was my little playroom. It's not as big as yours. I'm not quite there yet. All right, it all looks terrible. All right, and so the next one that we wanted to focus on, that we have been focusing on a little bit, is just involving vision into our system. So we're just introducing a camera. The camera classifies an object. It pretty much tells the hand that it's a cube, a circle, how big it is. The hand will prepare itself to take the object, and then a user signal is given for the hand to close on the object. And so what we're doing is just the natural thing that we do anyway, but we're taking out a few of the elements to make it easier for amputees and stuff. So for me, I would see that this is a cylinder. I'd prepare my hand to get it. All right, by taking out a few of those steps using a vision-based approach, you can improve people's lives, which is the whole point. So I'm getting there research-wise. It is a very cool topic, and there's massive applications for it, not with what I'm just doing. The potential that I love to see is that it's there and that it can help people. All right, so whatever I do in my life from here on, it's going to be helping people. It doesn't have to be prosthetic hands or anything, but it will be helping people. So all things aside, I would encourage you all to do the same thing. To have a people-focused approach. And if you do that, you'll be right a lot of the time. There's a lot of people I should thank. The Health Research Council, the Māori Education Trust, too many to name. My wife especially. She's babysitting the kids while I'm here, so that's probably my biggest thank there. But yeah, feel free to ask questions afterwards. I'll try to start this up. Hopefully it'll work. But thank you for your time.